I got my butt humbled up there on coming up Bear Canyon and going up to Hunter Peak. That was tough, but this is definitely making up for it. Hey guys, we're in the wash here in Pine Canyon at Pine Springs, Guadalupe Mountains, doing a few day backpacking trip. Got that awesome Guadalupe Mountains winds going. And back behind me, that is Chuco Hiker from YouTube. He lives out in El Paso, and we met up out here. Gonna do a few night hike together, and gonna go see part of the park that not a lot of people head to, and I hadn't been to in years, so excited about that. We're on our way up to Bear Canyon right now, so come along, we'll see what we can find. So it's a pretty windy day today. The ranger said here at Pine Springs it should get up to about 45, and up in the mountains should be about 55, which is nothing new for the Guads. Just happy to be back out here. Saw javelina on my way in, and just really happy they got everything back open. They said they just opened Dog Canyon, so pretty much the entire park is open now, which is real exciting. And I think the backcountry's been open for about a week now. So besides Guadalupe Peak, I'm sure we're going to be a couple of the first people to get farther back into the park. They said the animals are alive and well. They're out moving quite a bit since there hadn't been many humans. So got a pretty good shot of seeing something cool on this trip. There you can see Pine Springs Visitor Center back there. There's the El Cap kind of poking out. And we have turned over here, headed up toward Bear Canyon. Parking lot at Pine Springs was super full. That's the most people I've ever seen here. The trailhead parking lot was full, and then the actual visitor center parking lot was almost completely full. But I drove over by the campground and it wasn't completely full yet, so a lot of day hikers out, just excited the park is open. And I'm sure the majority of them are headed up Guadalupe Peak. You can see the staff housing off in the distance across the highway. And we have just about made it to the Bear Canyon Trail. Can't quite see all of Bear Canyon, but that little saddle way up there, that's the top of Bear Canyon. That's where we're headed. This is known as being one of the steepest trails out here, one of the hardest trails, but it is the quickest way up to the backcountry. The Tejas Trail, which is by far more popular, it got a lot of switchbacks and it's a little more drug out, so it's longer and takes a little longer in my opinion. I used to kind of be afraid of going up Bear Canyon. I did it a couple times, and it's really the better option, I think. I just realized I probably couldn't have any better camouflage of a shirt to wear out here. It's khaki and kind of like a faded green color, pretty much exactly like everything else out here. Blend in nicely. It's a little better view of Bear Canyon, what we're about to hike up into. You can just start to make out some fall color. Really pretty madrone. All its berries on it. Looks really cool, a little splash of color out here. And then you can see it looks a little bit better from the other side, but that tree right there is pretty bright red. At least it is from the other side. Looking up the canyon, it's the brightest tree in the canyon. Some of the colors are kind of faded. I don't think they've really started popping just yet. It's been slow going up Bear Canyon. Of course, it's been maybe 6 months or so since I last backpacked on the Eagle Rock Loop. COVID really slowed things down for everybody, I know. Everybody talks about getting the COVID-15. Well, I gained about COVID-25. So, really feeling this canyon. But it's really pretty out here, and I feel really fortunate to be able to be out here doing this. See that water pipe over there? I think I've shown that in some of my videos before, and it goes all the way up Bear Canyon, and I'll show you here in just a few minutes exactly where that leads to. Well, we made it to a little bit of color. A lot of this stuff already starting to look kind of faded. That's where we're headed, right up there, right in the center. It's the top of Bear Canyon. There's way more shade on this trail than I remember. It's been pretty nice. Quite a few places to stop and take a break. At least catch a 1 minute breather anyway. Getting up here close to the top, we actually just stopped for quite a while and passed a guy, and he turned around and said, "Hey, you got a YouTube channel?" And it turns out that he subscribes to my channel and I subscribe to his channel. He's got a pretty cool channel called Secrets of Texas, and he does hiking videos, but he also does a lot of just off the beaten path travel videos from around Texas. And anyway, seemed like a cool guy, and he's just getting started. So if you're from around the state or going to be visiting, you want to see some off the beaten path places to go check out his channel, the Secrets of Texas. Well, we made it to the top of Bear Canyon. Just came across over into the bowl. You can see instantly way more trees, a lot of pine trees, and it is crazy windy up here. Yeah, that was easy, huh? Well, we found a pretty good spot to stop and have lunch. I'm gonna have pepperoni and cheese and crackers. And this is in between the top of Bear Canyon and Hunter Peak. This place is out of the wind, and found a pretty good log here to sit on. And it's got good shade, good light coming through the trees. Pretty nice spot. All right, so we just got done with lunch. Now we're on our way up to Hunter Peak. Like I said, it's not very far from here, but it's all uphill. I'm gonna get some awesome views, be able to see somewhere we might be here in a couple days. All right, we're turning on the Hunter Peak Trail. It's only about 1/10 of a mile up to the peak itself. And you start to see some of the big mountains over that way. Made it to the top of Hunter Peak. This is the 6th highest peak in Texas and the 5th highest out here at Guadalupe Mountains. And just an awesome view down to the desert floor. Real hazy today. Starting that way, you see El Cap. Guadalupe Peak is the tallest one. And Shumard, Bartlett, and then Bush Mountain's back there in the back. So I told you earlier I'd let you know where exactly that pipe went to, and here's where it feeds to. There's the pipe, comes all the way from the desert floor all the way up here to the top of Bear Canyon, and it fills into this tank. They would have pumped that from down by the Frijole Ranch. Then out of this tank they would gravity feed through this series of pipes over here down through the bowl, down part of the Tejas Trail, and I believe the last tank in the line is over by the Tejas Campsites. So that's what they would use for water up here whenever they had grazing sheep or cattle or things like that. This back corner that we're about to do, that is one of the prettiest trails in the park. Love the pines up here. Super quiet except for the wind howling up above us. One last look back toward the Bowl Trail and the Bowl. We're at the junction right now. That's also the Bowl Trail, but it cuts right through the middle of the bowl. We just did kind of the outer section. And we're getting on the Juniper Trail right now. It's a really pretty trail. We're still in the bowl, but this trail is going to lead us out toward the Tejas. And once we get on Tejas Trail, we'll take that up to Mescalero Campsite. So I'm here by another tank up here in the bowl. Like I said, this one's a little farther down the line. Same process. We are making pretty good progress on Juniper Trail, and just saw a pretty big buck a while ago. That was pretty neat. That was our first big mammal we've seen out here. Seen a ton of birds, but we're starting to drop down into the drainage headed toward the Tejas campsite, and my legs are killing me, so I'm excited to be going down and not up. Even the little ups are hurting at this point. Absolutely massive tree fell over. That's from that big fire a few years back. That runs all the way up there to that tank. Somehow it didn't take that tank out. It's a huge tree. And we've seen quite a few of burned trees that are down and starting to decay, which is really cool because that's the natural process. So it's cool to see everything starting to take effect, whereas years past been up here and just seen the burned trees and some down, but they're actually starting to decay a little bit. Been a couple real pretty trees in here. Some nice color. Hate to tell my mom, we plan on coming back in about a month from now, and I don't know how much fall color there's still going to be. The colors on this trail they're so awesome. Totally wasn't expecting it. Didn't think this was going to be a highlight part of the day or trip. But the Juniper Trails had awesome fall color. And I don't know, I love this trail. Doing this trail and the bowl trail, the outer part of the bowl is, man, it's got to be one of my favorite loops to do out here. It's a super pretty section of the park. I don't know if my video will do the color justice, but it's a really pretty section. I know I keep saying that, I'm sorry, but this is my first time to be here during pretty good color change, and it's really neat. I wasn't expecting all this color right in through here. I'll tell you what, for as good as Juniper Trail was, the Tejas has been easily just as good, if not better. And definitely lifted my spirits because I got my butt humbled up there on coming up Bear Canyon and going up to Hunter Peak. That was tough, but this is definitely making up for it. It's super cool. So we're passing by the Tejas campsites right now. That's the fourth water tank in this line of tanks, and as far as I know, that's the last one in the line. And just checked out the Tejas campsites. Nobody's staying there tonight, but if you want some nice campsites that are out of the wind, those are pretty nice. So we're headed on to Mescalero. That's where we're staying tonight. Got 1.5 miles from right here, and got to climb just a little bit to get to it. So this is just prior to making it up to the junction with the Blue Ridge Trail. I'm looking back to the south. That's a really cool area. Lots of trees down there. I'm on the trail over to the Mescalero Campsites. Just made the turn off, and it's not very far back in here, but it is a little bit of a walk. I'm ready to get my stuff out and either sit down or blow my pad up and lay down. Today was a butt kicker. Here's the views from the Mescalero campsites. Got a great shot of that ridge when the sun goes down. So here's my campsite for the night. That is a 6 Moon Design Gatewood Cape. And it's a poncho tarp, so it's my rain gear and my shelter. And then I got my backpack tucked up under there. And I'm also using the Serenity net tent. under there, so no bugs. Not that I've ever had problem with bugs out here. Got my food bag over there. Tonight I'm gonna have pepperoni pizzas, and I'm gonna head over and eat here in just a second. Anyway, I don't think it's gonna be too windy of a night. They did say it's gonna get down to the low 40s tonight, low to mid 40s. So ought to be plenty warm. Here is my backcountry pizza. I already had one of them. It was pretty good. They are a little messy. And so you can see right there. But really not too bad. Almost a little too much bread with the naan. But the sauce is super good, and just a good, quick, easy backpacking meal. Well guys, that was the end of day one. We did about 8.5 miles. But the hardest part obviously is getting up here into the mountains. Came up quite a bit. And tomorrow we're actually doing somewhere around 10 miles. But not really a whole ton of elevation gain. What we're planning on doing is heading over to Lost Peak, summiting that, taking the Manzanita Ridge route down, and going down into Dog Canyon, refilling all our water there, and hauling out even more than what we've already been carrying, and then going over that pass, over down into the Marcus campsites, where we'll be staying tomorrow night. So that should be around 10 miles or so. And been a while since I've been out past the Marcus overlook. So it'll be kind of neat to get down into that side of the park. Anyway, thanks for following along, and we'll see you tomorrow.